The window behind me is the Great West Window. It was installed in 1970 to mark the 150th anniversary of St. John's Parish. It's full of interesting characters, but most of them are of interest only to Anglicans, so I'm just going to talk about those who aren't only of interest to Anglicans. The fellow at the very top on the left-hand side is Henry Budd. That is not his real name. His real name was a Mcrae name, and he was from Norway House, and he was one of the 3 foster sons of John West. John West brought them down from the north to the Red River settlement to educate them. It was Henry Budd, James Settee, and James Hope. All 3 of them became Anglican priests, but Henry was the first. He was ordained in 1852 at St. John's, and he was the first indigenous person ever to be ordained as an Anglican priest in North America. Actually, I'm willing to bet he was probably the first indigenous person anywhere in the world to be ordained as an Anglican priest. Now, just below Henry is another interesting fellow. That is Samuel Pritchard Matheson. Samuel was the 3rd bishop of Rupert's Land and the 4th bishop of the entire Anglican Church of Canada. We call them primates. Sam was the descendant of a Selkirk settler. That was the Matheson side of his family. And his other grandfather was John Pritchard. John Pritchard had worked for the Hudson's Bay Company, and then when he retired from the HBC, he became a successful businessman in this area. John Pritchard was one of the few people who survived the Seven Oaks Massacre in 1817. In the middle of the window, the fellow in the gorgeous red robe with the gold trim and the bare feet, that's Jesus. He's in all our windows. I, for one, do not believe he ever wore red velvet with gold trim, but I do believe the bare feet. The fellow below Jesus, kneeling at the prayer desk, is David Anderson. David Anderson was the 1st bishop of Rupert's Land. He came out from England in 1849, and he was here until 1864. And then we move to the right side of the window, and at the very top we meet Colin Inkster, the other mover and shaker responsible for this present-day cathedral. Colin was quite a character. He was the High Sheriff of Assiniboia. He was the 1st Speaker of the Manitoba Legislature, and he was also a warden of St. John's for 63 years. And just in case you're not Anglican and you're not sure what a warden is in this context, wardens are lay people who are charged with the care of the building, the parish finances, and the care and control of the congregation. They are the order keepers, leaving the priest to tend to spiritual concerns. Colin was 94 years old when he died. Man jumped rope every morning of his life, can you believe it? And he didn't die of old age. He died of smoke inhalation when his hunting lodge in the Delta went on fire. Now, just below Colin is a person of no interest to anybody but Anglicans, but below him is a fellow wearing a purple stole. That's Robert Mcdonald. Robert Mcdonald was born and raised in Point Douglas, was a member of this congregation, went to St. John's College, studied theology, and was ordained as a priest here at St. John's, but never exercised his ministry in this part of the world. He went up to the Mackenzie Delta in northern BC, southern Yukon, and he is regarded as something of a saint, even to this day, by the people who live in that part of the world. When Robert went up there, he translated the Book of Common Prayer and the Gospels into Tuduk, which was the language of the local people. We still have people coming down from Yukon and northern BC every summer to visit Robert's grave in our cemetery, and they'll say to me, "Did you know Robert Mcdonald?" And I say, "I'm old, but I'm not that old." Robert died in 1893. And then, at the very bottom of the window on the right-hand side is Robert Mccrae. And Robert Mccrae came out here in 1865 from Aberdeen in Scotland as our second bishop. And Robert, like all Scots, was very keen on education. And so if you went to the University of Manitoba, or have children or grandchildren who go to the University of Manitoba, you thank Robert Mccrae, because he was the founder of St. John's College, which was the founding college of the University of Manitoba.